and then decided I want to manage my own shop. Student ended up going back to college, getting a degree in business management, and is now the owner of a salon.
Wow.
So that's why it's important. Listen to your child. See what compromises can be made.
Mhm.
Now, I want to go back that after the last few weeks, there's been a lot of controversy going on about why can't we both be pro-police and pro-black at the same time. Those two viewpoints do not have to conflict with each other. Both perspectives can exist. Parents and teens need to have open and constructive dialogue in which both parties can brutally be honest with and respect for and have respect for each other. Now, it is in my opinion that there is no contradicting in respecting the space of your teenage child and having a two-way line of open communication with your teenage child at all times. What better expert than you, the parent of your child, to embrace all the advice from the so-called expert, as well as family members and friends, and choose a path that best suits your individual needs, especially nowadays. It truly takes a village to raise a child.
Wow.
I love that. Love
Wow.
that.
Wow. Yeah.
So I know that a lot of parents can appreciate, they can appreciate everything that's going on, especially with the studies when we talk about their health, their well-being. You're talking about and touching every part of who a child is as they're growing up. We know they're little individuals, but these little individuals will be adults very soon, and voting and driving and some of everything. So that's a big deal.
Yes, yes. Well, Angel, let me ask you a question if you don't mind.
Sure.
As we're winding this up. You have a teenage son.
He's 21.
21.
He's 21.
We're going through those factors. Congratulations on 21. Share some of your personal experience. How would you, if you had the opportunity, handle difficult conversation?
Well, the funny part is we've always had an open conversation since he was a kid. Since he started talking, as a matter of fact. So we've always been open. We're constantly talking to each other. If there's something wrong with it, there's also a point where if we don't agree with everything, we learn to talk to each other. I try to keep that, especially during those teenage years, because, well, you know for yourself, teenage angst is horrible. It's horrible.
Yes.
The slamming of the door, the sulking, all that. And you just want them to go and move and live somewhere else. But at the same time, it's a lot of open conversation. One of the things that I learned over the years, especially when we got close to a senior year, in order to keep that open door conversation was I would do his hair. And the thing was, I would sit there and I would do his dreadlocks, and we would talk every time. We would have something. I would put on a documentary that I knew that he needed to watch because he's trapped. I got your hair. You're gonna watch this eventually. Recently, last year, he was born in the Southwest, and he wanted to go, but he was not studying like he was supposed to. The conversations were closed off after a while. So after I found out how he was doing after the fact, and that was after my father passed, what ended up happening was I pulled him out. A lot of parents, when you mentioned the young lady who wanted to learn cosmetology, I understood that because a lot of parents, they want to think of their children going to a four-year college. They want to see them graduate, big graduation, be, bragging rights, all those things. But in truth, you're doing that for you, not for the kid themselves. So what I learned was I took that moment knowing what he loved to do, and I said, you know what? I'm going to put you into tech school. And he got upset at first because he said, it looks like a prison in here. Good. Then that means you will never go to prison because now you get it. And he went there. He's about to graduate.
Congratulations. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's about to graduate next month. So that's a big deal to see him grow and endure from that, and to be able to go into his, something that he's wanted to do for the longest, because with him going over to another college and having to wait for so long and all these, forgive me, I know you work in the lawnmower, but I call them fluffer classes. And he didn't want to go through that. He knew what he wanted to do. So I put him in that position, and I told him if there's something wrong, you come to me, you talk to me, you tell me these things. So I'd like to think that we've been able to have that kind of relationship over the last 21 years. So yeah.
Obviously it worked because he's graduating.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. And some teenagers, when they're at that point in their life, they go through those transitional phases. Am I ready for this? They have to do all of this. They're like the young lady, and like your son. Okay, all I want to do is hair.
Right.
This was all I want to do is hair. All this, la 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 la. I was like, okay. And so, but it works out. You have to listen. And Stevenson, I'm sure when you were growing up,
Mhm.
you know, you had just open dialogue with your teenager.
Yeah.
You know, not only are you the general manager here at AM 1240 and now 104.1 FM, that you had conversations. It was time to grow up and be a man and get out on your own.
Yes, I did have a lot of conversations with Pastor Clark and Lady Clark, and of course, as a matter of fact, it pays to listen both ways. They listen to me, and I listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I thank God, because I don't think I would be where I am today had I not listened.
Right.
Great.
Listen.
Yeah, and I had to listen too. My mom and I had several conversations.
Yeah.
At the college, she loved coffee. So from a little kid on up, now here I am, 7 years old, tasting coffee.
Yeah.
She's talking about her problem, and I'm just sitting there listening. And then she pushed me on off to school. But the conversation is good. And in closing, I cannot express that today, especially today, let's listen and be observant of our children. They
Right.
are reaching out. Once again, I would like to thank you, Stevenson Clark, and Asia Ray John, for the opportunity. And I would like to remind all the listeners that you can verify all these statistics and studies mentioned in my responses by reviewing a written transcript here at the station of AM 1240 WABE, located right here in South Haven, Mississippi. Thank you so much, audio listeners, for your time. Thank you so much for offering me the opportunity to come here and just share some information with our listeners.
Well, I
You're welcome.
appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay. Right now, I'd like to go ahead and repeat that the views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of WAVN and Flynn Broadcasting. So, if you have any questions, we want to again thank Mr. Tony Whitson for his frank and beautiful advice and comments. And should any listener have any questions for Tony, you can be free to go ahead and call 662-280-9599. Again, 662-280-9599. Tony has graciously agreed to get back with you and provide responses to your questions. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank my boss, Stevenson Clark, for being in today. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be on your show. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
your station.
Thank you.
But no, I
Thank you,
appreciate it greatly.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go straight into commercials. And remember, right at 8:45, we're gonna have Brown Baptist Church. So make sure that you keep it locked right here to Pop 1240 and Pop 104.1 WABN, where we believe in the power of prayer. Take that.